Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video today, and today we're going to be recapping today's college football games as Friday slates of games were, there were definitely some interesting ball games, especially the Louisville Georgia Tech game, which was a big comeback for Louisville to, beat Georgia Tech 39-34. But there were not a lot of interesting teams playing today. No ranked teams. The three best teams that played today were probably in order: Louisville, Kansas, and Miami were the best three teams played today. There were a total of only 4 games today. One is ongoing right now. Stanford is beating Hawaii 21-7. It's 11:30 right now at night, and that game's still going on. It's not even halftime. I'm not going to stay out till almost 1 o'clock to do this video. I mean, Stanford, they're an okay team, but I'm not going to wait for that game to end. But I wanted to, talk about the Louisville game, in the Louisville and Georgia Tech game. I want to talk about the Miami game and some of the other games that happened today. Kansas game as well, and didn't want to wait for that Stanford-Hawaii game to end because I'm planning on getting up at 8 a.m. tomorrow to watch college football game day. It's not something I plan on doing every single Saturday. Maybe get up 9:30 in the morning on normal Saturdays for college football. But tomorrow's the first game day of the season. I want to get up and watch it. So we'll like to go to bed soon with, college football, being, having to get up at 8 a.m. or before 8 a.m. because it starts at 8. It starts at 8 in the morning. Let's get into the games, though. So there were a total of 5 games today, one's still ongoing. Let's start with Miami versus Miami. You have Miami of Ohio facing off against the Miami Hurricanes, and I have to be specific of which Miami wins. The Miami Hurricanes, University of Miami Hurricanes, beat Miami of Ohio 38-3. Miami's quarterback, Tyler Van Dyke, had a really solid game, going 17 for 22 with 201 passing yards and 1 passing touchdown. Their running back, Henry Parrish Jr., had a really good game with 9 carries, 90 rushing yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. Their other running back, Mark Fletcher Jr., also had a really good game with 9 carries, 76 rushing yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. Then receiving, their leader in receiving yards was wide receiver Colby Young, with 4 receptions for 79 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown. And also Xavier Restrepo had 5 receptions for 68 receiving yards. And that was really it. I'm not going to really go over Miami of Ohio stats because they only scored 3 points. Sorry. Central Michigan Central Michigan lost to Michigan State 31-7 today. Michigan State beat Central Michigan 31-7. Central Michigan, here are their stats. Not Central. I keep getting confused between the two Michigan teams. Michigan State, here are their stats. Noah Kim, quarterback, threw 18 for 31, 280 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. Running back Nathan Carter for Michigan State had 18 carries for 113 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. Here was the leader in receiving for Michigan State was wide receiver Jerron Glover with 3 receptions for 75 receiving yards, and then Tyrell Henry, wide receiver, had 2 receptions for 25 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown. And then Malik Carr had 1 reception for 8 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown. And same thing with Miami of Ohio. I'm not going over Central Michigan stats because they only scored 7 points in this ball game. All right. Here was the best game of the day by far. Doesn't matter what happens in that Stanford game between Stanford and Hawaii. Louisville beats Georgia Tech 39-34. Louisville was down in this ball game 28-13 going into halftime, and they came back scoring 10 points compared to Georgia Tech's 0 in the third quarter, which made this ball game a 5-point game going into the fourth quarter. They would score a touchdown to make it 31. I think, they made it with the touchdown they scored. They made it 29-28, and then they went ahead and scored another touchdown to make it 36-28 and scored a field goal. And then it was 39-28, and Georgia Tech scored a touchdown, and then the final score was 39-34. So great comeback by Louisville to get this win, 39-34. And let's go over the stats for both teams. Louisville's quarterback Jack Plummer threw 18 for 31 with 250 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns. Their leader in rushing yards was Jawahar Jordan with 7 carries for 96 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. And their quarterback Plummer also had 51 rushing yards. Their leader in receiving yards had a really good day. Jameer Trash. I don't think his last name is pronounced Trash, but it or Thrash. I think it's Thrash. It's Jamari Thrash, who had 7 receptions for 90 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. He's definitely not trash because he had a great game. Georgia Tech stats: their quarterback Haynes King threw 19 for 32 with 313 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns. Their quarterback also led them in rushing yards with 53 rushing yards, but their running back, Trey Cooley, had a better day with one less rushing yard and 1 less carry, but 2 touchdowns. 52 rushing yards and two rushing touchdowns for running back Trey Cooley. Good day for him. And then receiving stats for Georgia Tech, their leader in receiving yards was Malik Rutherford with 5 receptions for 85 receiving yards today for Georgia Tech. How about Kansas? I think Kansas is going to be a really fun team to watch this season, and they had a good game to start the season, winning 48-17 against Missouri State. Their quarterback, Jason Bean, had a really solid day, 22 for 28, 275 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. Their leader in rushing yards was Devin Neal, running back, with 13 carries, 94 rushing yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. And then they had 2 running backs with 41 rushing yards. One was Sevion Morrison, and also was quarterback Jason Bean. And then later in receiving yards was tied between wide receiver Lawrence Arnold with 77 receiving yards and Quentin Skinner with 77 receiving yards as well. And the 2 players that catched touchdowns in this ballgame was running back Neal. So he had a total of 2 touchdowns in this ballgame, 1 receiving touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown. And also wide receiver Luke Grimm also had a touchdown for Kansas. Then Missouri State's, I know they got their ass kicked, but their quarterback, Jacob Clark, threw 14 for 21 with 143 passing yards and 1 passing touchdown. And that's all I'm going to go over because they didn't really have any other stats. And then for the Stanford-Hawaii game, there's 4 minutes left in the second quarter, and Stanford is winning 21-7. Stanford's quarterback Ashton Daniels in the first half is not even over yet. He's thrown 12 for 18 with 152 passing yards and 1 passing touchdown, and has also ran with 33 rushing yards. And then how about wide receiver Benjamin Eurosek, who has 6 receptions for 111 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown, and that's in the first half. And there's still another 4 minutes left in the half. So Daniels, quarterback, has over 150 passing yards with 1 passing touchdown, and their wide receiver Benjamin Eurosek has 111 receiving yards with 1 receiving touchdown, and it's not even into the first half in that ball game. So Stanford's offense is doing pretty good, but like I said, I wasn't going to wait until that game was over, especially when Stanford is most likely going to win that ball game. But we'll see what happens. You guys let me know your thoughts on today's college football's game. You guys let me know your thoughts on today's college football games. Excited to have college football back. It's been fun watching college football over the last 2 days. And now tomorrow it's time to watch some real college football teams. You know, you're going to see everybody play tomorrow, a lot of ranked teams. You know, over the last 2 slates of games, Thursday and Friday, you've only seen 1 ranked team play. That's Utah. And Utah didn't even have their starting quarterback, Cameron Rising. That's it for the video, though. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts, and peace out.